It's warm.
Your time here on earth. It's called Where Rainbows Never Die. And it makes me think of my mom. So, and the rest of us that have loved her for so long. So, thanks everybody for being here. And then after the song, and we're all done crying, from the song, anybody who wants to get up and speak can speak. So it'll just be open to come up.
Does the microphone work?
I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know if it works or not. I don't think so.
up a little higher.
I don't think it's working.
It might not be on.
It's not working.
Hang on, there's a button.
There's a button.
Test.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, and now we're back to where is Ally?
Yes.
He's outside somewhere.
Okay. All right. I was pulling the seat in out without talking to somebody.
Oh,
Oh,
well, we just started. You're fine.
I know. First of all, I'm so thankful for everybody who's here. I am so thankful to all of you guys for being here today. And today's really about how wonderful she was. There's so many other people that want to be here that can't be here. And so this is a song that makes me think of her.
Ellie, can you get up? Just for a second. That's right, stay there. Thank you. The last time I got this was at the twins' birthday.
I know that now. Ain't nothing. Young folks don't pay me no mind. But in my day, I sure was something. For I feel the heavy and time.
All right, who's first? Who's getting up first? We gotta start with the oldest friends. Down to the youngest friends. Oldest friends to the youngest friends.
I'm
All right.
probably one of the oldest.
Yeah. Okay.
We were, what, 14? And you're one. Dorian.
Hi, y'all. Anyhow, my name's Fred. I met Susan in 1969. Lived together, shares Forest Lakes, Felton. 1970, about 1972 or 1973.
Yeah.
We didn't have any money. I was logging back at Big Creek, cutting firewood. Susan was doing hairdressing. And yeah, it was a good time. Anyhow, Susan and I went different ways. She ended up in Brookdale here and doing hairdressing in Boulder Creek. And for years, we became, we still had really good friends. She used to come to my house and cut my hair all the time. And when I had a daughter and I was working, she would take my daughter to school. In the morning. And later on, when my daughter had daughters, she would do the same for them.
Yep.
I saw Sage and Eileen come into this world and drove Susan to the hospital in a Volkswagen bus with the blinker's lights and the whole bit. Anyhow, those two ladies there. And we just remain friends forever. And she's been a part of my family, our family, for many years. And I don't know. Thank you, Susan.
Bring the clean in.
Hi. Susan and I went to high school together. That's our high school table right there. Pete and Dorian and I and his wife and my husband. And Sue and I lost touch a little bit, and then I see you boys, the grandsons. And we knew each other a little bit there. And then we met, I did all the reunions with this other girl. And so I had Susan join me and we do all the reunions. And we got so tight. We'd stay up till 4 o'clock in the morning talking about everything in our lives. No judgments on either side, just from the heart, all deep. And we cooked together. My husband and I would go places all the time on the weekends, Friday. And Sue would come with us. We go to have dinners. And in between, we work like men in the yard. Just like men in the yard. And talked about our hearts and our souls. And we talked about twice a week. And we were together about once a week. And it was horrible that she left. Last time I saw her was in the hospital with Sagey. Yeah. And I miss her desperately. And I look around today and I keep seeing her and somebody else, but I keep seeing her. She had the best heart. She had a very bad start in life as an infant. And you know why she was the way she was. She didn't think she was worth it, and she was so worth it. Anyway, I love her very much. She was generous, kind, loving, communicative, every joy. Who's next? Dorian. Dorian went to high school with her too. This is Dorian, the historian. This is what Sue named him.
Hi, everybody. Sue Somps and I have been the best of friends from as long as I can remember when I first got a chance to meet her. The biggest association that I had, that I look forward to all the time was that there's a new, little youth center that was built in Los Altos. Los Altos Youth Center is called Lacey. LAYC. And whenever they had a good band playing there, they had some good ones playing there, including the band that I was messing around with a little bit. They let me get up and sing a song every now and then. But then the Fugitives, 2+2. But when the music started to play, I would look around the room for Susan Somps, because when we would dance together, it was just like a magic scene going on, and it was just fabulous and beautiful. And I got a chance to meet with her at, what was the name of that? Don Quixote's. And we got a chance to hear Moon Alice play, and we danced together. And just the way she is, just the way she was as a person, she was just the most loving person. And she also, well, I remember one time driving down Highway 9, saw all these guys working in the street, tarring the road. And one of the guys had really long hair, and it was Susan Somps. And she had the mind and will to do the kind of thing that came to her. She would think it out. She would go, this can work for me. I can go ahead and build this. And she would go ahead and do it. And that's what was so special about her. She was one of a kind. And I pray and thank God for having the opportunity to have known her, having her be part of my life. Thank you very much.
Hi, my name is Peter Hymans, and you won't believe why I'm here. I probably knew Sue Somps less than any of you, but I knew her more in many ways. I didn't know her well in high school, but we were in the same class, small class in a small high school. But at reunions and such afterwards, Sue would come up to me with the brightest smile and say, "You're my hero." And I said, "Why?" She said, "Because don't you remember at the party, I was barefoot and there were stickers and you carried me across the field?" And I don't know what I had been drinking or if I had been drinking, but I didn't remember it. But Sue Somps made me appreciate myself in a way that I didn't know how. And I wrote a poem once which describes, I think, all of our relationships with her, and I want to share that with you. I hope you enjoy it. It's called "We Think We See." I saw you see me seeing you, a frozen moment trapped in time. A wide gap lay raw between perceptions, amorphous particles of thought sublime. Was this a crystal cemented in life's wall, or a drop of tick-tock rain on descent? Beliefs take shape by how we feel. Did you feel me as I think I meant? So I will always remember Sue Somps. She's part of me, and you're all part of me too. Thank you so much.
Who's next? On. I got one. Okay, you got one.
Okay, I'm trying to think of when I met you guys. They came to our church, SLV Baptist, and little Emily and then the twins. And I was always amazed at how Sue could just very easily come in with two little ones and get you guys to sit down and be quiet and so forth. And she used to come to my house to cut my son's hair, just like a number of you probably had. And the thing I remember about her, just like what the last man said, was that you'd have a problem. She goes, oh, that's no problem. We just need this, 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 and this. We put it together, no sweat. And also the main thing I remember about her, she never complained. I never heard her complaining about a situation, about, you know, missing somebody or whatever. She was always positive. And I lost track of everybody for a while there, for a couple of years. I guess everybody was growing up and becoming teenagers and, you know, moving here and there. But I always had this oneness with her. I could always sit down, talk about whatever, and she always knew. So she is the get her done woman to me. She's a Renaissance woman. I just couldn't believe it. And so from then on, I thought, you know what? If I had a wagon train and I was gonna go across the prairies, I want Sue on my wagon train. And there's only certain people I want, but Sue is the main one I want. Thank you, guys.
Wesley. So you, Wesley.
Hi, I'm Wesley. I was Susan's, Susan's grandson. I didn't really know my grandma that much, but I kind of, she lived with us towards the end of her life, and, she was always someone I could talk to, and I would try to squeeze out that little bit of last little information out of her life. I wanted to know all the stories I wanted to know. And she would, she'd tell me the same stories over and over again, but I love to hear them. And, you know, the irrigation ditches and her father and over the hill and
Apricot orchards.
apricot orchards and yeah, I don't know, she was just, someone I could always, be comfortable talking to, and I would go down to her house when we were living in the cabin, and I would just, you know, I could cry with her, I could laugh with her. And I'm just, I don't know, I'm just really grateful that I got to know her for the time I did and had a relationship with her. And she used to call me her boy, because she's like, where's my boy? Where's the boy? And yeah, I miss her a lot. And yeah, that's all I got. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
So I knew Susan basically my entire life. She was always like our go-to, we have emergency, quick, call Susan. You know, she comes, she help us clean, we got a party, call Susan. My mom tries to cut one of my brother's hair, it's an emergency, Susan. You know, no locked door would stop Susan from getting what she wanted. So the solution is to just leave your doors unlocked, right? That keeps your doors on the hinges. Susan has always been a very large part of my life, and the last I saw her, I went and I visited her in the hospital, and when we parted, I sang the song that we sing oftentimes when we parted and we said bye, because we were always singing, old songs with each other, you know, she loved, I'd always be there with like my top hat and tailcoats and we'd sing crazy songs. And so the last I said to her, I said, we'll meet again, don't know where, don't know when, but I know we'll meet again some sunny day. And I feel we will meet again some wonderful time.
Hi, I'm so nervous to talk in front of people. Susan was my older sister. And when I was younger, of course, she was my teenage sister and she used to threaten Mark and I'll knock you across the room. You know, she didn't want us around. She was listening, we played Frisbee with her Beatles record, we broke up. She got really pissed at me, but at us then. And but anyway, then I grew up and I ended up moving into Susan's cabin when I was in 1974, I believe. And I lived there for a few years and Susan and I did stuff. I remember one time she found a cast iron sink. She just had to have these cast iron sinks. So she went down the bottom of Highway 9, tied rope around me and pushed it off the edge. And I came right up to the edge and stopped right at the edge. And she got her sink. I don't know what she did with it because I don't see it utilized anymore. But, you know, she kind of helped me through my teenage angst years. And then we kind of separated for a while. And then I saw her again when she was, you know, having dementia, which was really hard. It was really hard. But I loved her so much. And one of the songs we used to always sing together was Those Were the Days, My Friend. And I'll always remember that for her. And I loved her so much. She was very special. And always. Thank you.
We got one.
Yeah.
We got one.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Howard.
King of the mountain.
Yeah.
Owner of the mountain we grew up on right here.
Not my mom's peak, but you know,
I always like it when there's a little kid that gets up on the stage and she goes, I've known him all my life. You know, 4 years. You know. Well, I've known Susan all of their lives. I was their neighbor. I'm trying not to be, I'm usually the designated crier. The neat thing about this stuff is you get a chance to see what you didn't know about somebody. And I don't know if you know what a great paver Susan was.
Yeah.
But she was the whacker, man, that compacted the asphalt on the job. You know, and she was always meticulous. If I went by, she had her notebook and she's drawing. And she would spend weeks drawing, figuring out how she was going to do something. Something that maybe you people can use in the mountains here. I go driving by and she's working on her hillside and she's taking concrete slabs and making a mud poultice and interlocking the concrete slabs up the side of the mountain in a veneer. It is still there 30 years later. You don't need $200,000 retaining walls. You just need a little erosion protection on the ground. And she did that. And I go, that's something to remember. I hope I don't take too long, but now that I think about it.
No, go for it. Go for it.
We had this stupid tree that PG&E would not take out. And it would keep leaning more and more. And I come home one day and here's a string and a nut tied and a nail in the road. And I'm like, so I go to Susan, I go, what is that? Well, what I did is I made a plumb bob and if the tree moves, that won't be over the nail anymore. Pretty damn clever, I think, anybody. Anyway, that's how ingenious she was at what she did. And then in the earthquake, I brought cables down and I ran cables through the house and tied them to the trees and tied her house. And she was so grateful. She said, that is just so amazing. I go, it's not about you. I don't want your damn house in the street, so I can't get home. Anyway, we'll miss her terribly.
Okay, fine. Okay, somebody come or I'm gonna point you out. Who's coming? All right, here we go. We got somebody. We got somebody.
I'm Nicole, I'm Emily's little sister, and I came into the family over 25 years ago. And I wanted to do right by my nephews and my sister and say what I liked about Susan. I've become quite emotional as I've gotten older, so bear with me. Susan was very positive. And she was always happy. And what I really appreciated about her was that, so she was with my dad for a few years, and even though she could have maybe said some not nice things, she always really made sure to tell me some really great stories about my dad. And she liked to tell me about him riding his Harley up the road. And he couldn't make the turn into the driveway, so he would just let the bike drop. And she never ever said a negative thing about him, and I thought that was really classy of her. And she was happy and positive, and her happy place was her grandsons. She was, I'm sorry. She was in love with her grandsons, and she was an awesome grandma. She really loved you guys. So I just wanted to share that she was happy, positive, and always kind. And I really enjoyed watching her with her grandsons.
So.
I'm not really good in front of people, but I've known Susan since she was cutting my mom's hair when I was a little guy. Or St. Eileen, where I was born. And before the 82 storms hit, she's been trying to save her spot ever since. She's the sweetest thing I've ever met. Just cared about her family, and she never had no bad word to say about anything. Sweetest little lady ever. I just came up here because I wanted to say something. I miss her. I lost my mom last year.
And our moms are up there together now.
Yes, I would have liked to get them together. I would have liked to get them together before, but you know, it wasn't right.
They're up there together.
Yeah. So thank you all for being here. And a good loving family. You know, love you all. Thank you.
All right, hi, everyone. Look at you. My name is Jody, and So I am Emily's friend. And she and I have been friends since we were little kids. And I first met Susan and Emily when she would come over to my grandparents' house in Ben Lomond. I don't know how my grandma and Susan met, but they were both very loving, friendly people, and they probably just were drawn to each other. And so Susan would come over and Emily and I would play together. I think we were about 10 or 11 years old, and that's how we met. So I grew up
Dealing with me.
well, maybe a little. Emily and I have always been good friends, and so I spent a lot of time at Emily's house. So just a couple things I just wanted to share about Susan. She was like a second mom. Often when I would go over to Emily's house, I would pull into their crazy driveway and Susan would come running out. She'd have a big smile on her face, but she's yelling at the dogs because they're getting in the way. And she's telling me to back out, park somewhere else. But then I get out of the car and she's got her beautiful smile and a big, wonderful, long hug for me every time. And I remember her long, beautiful hair, her strong arms. She was such a strong, strong lady in the inside and out. And I remember one time when Emily and I were in high school, we got this crazy idea to go get our haircut at the beauty college. Yes, it was not a good idea.
Stacy says it's not a good idea.
That's right. Yes, Stacy was there. So I got a terrible haircut and terrible. I was crying and Emily was like, "It's okay. Let's go see my mom." Yeah, which Emily is very much like her mother. She's got an answer for everything. She's gonna help you fix it. And so I went into Susan's house crying. She sat me down and she gave me this beautiful haircut. She fixed it. And one of my very last memories of Susan, I was living out of state and Emily and I was coming home to California and Emily and I had planned to meet up. And there was one morning where I was just having my quiet time, drinking my coffee, and I felt like I just really hadn't seen Susan in a long time. I really just wanted to give her a hug. And I felt like I needed to see her and give her a hug. And so, but I didn't say anything to Emily, and she and I said, "Hey, let's meet for coffee." And she said, "I'm going to bring my mom." And I got to give her a hug, and it was sorry. It was exactly what I feel like God, it was a gift. So I love her. And she was wonderful.
Hi, I'm Wyatt. I'm Susan's firstborn grandson. Apologize, I might turn into a crybaby. Yeah. She's always been there. My earliest memories, so she was honestly the cool grandma. You know, I had a traditional grandma, made cookies and dinner and stuff, and you'd go over and whatever. I mean, I love her, but Susan was the cool grandma. She was awesome. She would ride bikes with me. Just her inner child came out. When I would see her. She was so good with kids. I mean, so it was just, you know, it was in her. I would spend a lot of time with her. I mean, even growing up, I feel like she built a lot of who I am. I was kind of an out of control kid for a long time. I remember she would always tell me, you know, sometimes my mom would say to her, "Hey, you know, can we drop Wyatt off with you? Like, he needs time to talk to you, to spend time to like set him straight." She would always tell me, don't let other people control you. You control your life. Don't put yourself in a situation where other people are controlling you, telling you what to do. You tell yourself what to do. And it took a few times, but I took it to heart. Something I live by today.
Yeah. She will be missed. This is crazy to see how many people showed up. Yeah. Say one more thing about her. I loved spending the last 4 years living with her too, even if it was a pain a lot of the times with the dementia. It was still amazing to just sit with her and take care of her. Oh, yeah. Actually, it's funny. She has a lot of history here recently too. I'll tell a story. Maybe what was it, like a year ago, 2 years ago? She somehow got up on the roof up here. Somehow. Wow. And one of the old barbacks had to come out and help her off the roof. And she was like, I don't know what I was doing up there. I was just enjoying the sun. For a lot of times, she'd always find herself down here. Yeah, go ahead. We can
Yeah,
do it
so
together.
I'm at a doctor appointment and my phone's blowing up and I'm like, what's going on now? The hell? And they're like, Emily, your mom's on the roof. Your mom's on the roof and we don't know how she got up there. And I'm like, well, I know how she got up there. Your roof goes to the ground back there. I've been sneaking in this place since I was 5. What do you mean you don't know how my mom got on your roof? And I'm like, and don't treat her like a toddler. Let her get down by herself. Don't try to get her down. Don't call the fire department. Just relax. And then another time, ring, 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 phone's blowing up. I'm like, what's now? Your mom's behind the bar, helping herself. We got her on camera. I'm like, guys, it's Monday. You're supposed to be closed. I thought it was safe for her to walk around town and you left the door open and now she's behind the bar helping her goddamn self. Yes. So those are some good stories. Those are some excellent.
Yeah, she was a crazy, crazy lady, but we loved her for that. We loved her craziness. Yeah.
A little bit crazy.
No, yeah, she will be missed. I missed her a lot. Just trying to think if there's anything else. I feel like there was, but. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Carry her. Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, I'm just so happy to see these many people come to support. I'm thankful, yeah. Glad,
You left,
yeah,
and she'll
Guess
always
that's-
be with you whenever.
yeah.
Well, that's what I-
Yeah, anyone else?
Good.
There we go.
There we go. We got somebody. We got somebody.
Hi, everyone. My name's Pete, and I'm mainly here to share a text that my younger brother David wanted me to share here at the memorial. He was very good friends with Sharon. But before I do that, I just wanted to talk briefly about how I first met Susan and the kids. My daughter Jody had shared about the get-togethers in Ben Lomond. And it was my mother who used to host those every Sunday, just about every Sunday. And she loved Susan and the kids. And I believe that my mother and Susan were involved in some type of work at the St. Michael's Catholic Church. So they had that in common. But I have good memories of those events. The kids would always have a blast. The house was right on the river. And Emily and her sisters and Jody and her sisters would all be involved in everything having to do with the river, jump in the big rowboat and go down the river and pick blackberries or maybe go off the rope swing, stuff like that. So right now I'm going to share what my brother had texted me. Hello, everyone. My name is Dave Luke. I met Susan over 40 years ago through a ministry at St. Michael's Catholic Church in Boulder Creek. I would go to Susan's house up on the hill here and assist with some repairs on her back porch. During that time, I got to know Susan and her lovely daughters, Emily, Eileen, and Sage. Susan was always so easy to talk to and interesting to listen to. During the course of my life, I would go back and visit with her periodically. The last time being about 3 years ago, I think when I picked her up and when I picked her up and took her to some shopping in Capitola, I appreciated Susan's openness, honesty, and willingness to share. She was so kind-hearted, non-judgmental, and extremely humble. She was humorous and funny, and she loved the Lord. Susan was my friend, and I am so joyous for her that now she is with King Jesus. I love you, Susan. You are missed. I will see you again someday, David. No, we went to different schools. Yeah, we went to San Ramon, but we worked together at Costello.
Hi, I'm Rosalind. Can you hear me? Uh. Whew.
I think the sun's coming out.
Susan always smelled like vanilla. And she had those really cool earrings. And her family way back in the day was from Mazatlan. She liked to tell me about that. And she liked to throw toilet paper in the garbage. Let's just be real here. And cook liver and onions. And she gave me my first perm that my sister promptly brushed out. And sold me mice for my snake and our cat Lewis. And our parents were friends. That's how I know her. And my best friend Sage. And she had the coolest hair. She's like the first person when I was a kid, I wasn't allowed to have bangs. And she like cuts hair, but then my mom would always say like, you have to have bangs. And Susan's like the first person I knew who like didn't have bangs, but then she had this like cool curl in the front, you know? Did you want to say? But the thing in some ways I feel very comforted and happy for her because I know I just am not a religious person, but I really admire her religion, her spirituality. And I know she had like really wanted to go be with Jesus for a long time. So I'm very happy for her in that regard, even though I know that we'll really miss her. But I just know that she found a lot of comfort in that. And it is really awesome to see everybody here. And I know there's so many more people that really wanted to be here. And who wants to go next?
Susan was my grandma and shared a lot of good times with her. When I was younger, she used to be kind of hard on me, but she made me more of a man than any man did. So she was a strong woman. Sad to see her go, but I'm glad that she's with God now. And she used to always tell me about when she got dropped off at the orphanage when she was 4. And how she met God there. Glad that she was able to share that with me and build my relationship with him now. And I actually spent a few weeks there at the same orphanage that she went to during a hard time in my life, and her stories helped me through that. And I'm glad that she was able to come visit me there, and we went, saw her old room there. Yeah, just so glad that she's with God now. Thank you all.
Okay. I guess it's my turn. Emily and Sage forgot to mention to me that we were saying anything, so I've come completely unprepared. If you don't know, I'm the other twin, Aline. Don't exactly look the same. I've been out in North Carolina.
We haven't ever looked the same.
No, not you, and I did when I was younger.
We never.
But the older I get, the more I see Susan every time I look in the mirror. I am a lot like her. I have wild, extravagant plans set for my house. Most of them I haven't started yet, because I want to be able to finish it. She did the plumbing, the roofing, worked on a paving crew. She did all the things that I now do around my house. But I'm lucky I have Google, you know,
That's funny.
she, had her guy friends and she had to figure it out on her own. She was so brilliant and was always ready to help somebody else, without it hurting her or her family. She knew how to help people who were trying to help themselves. I've been gone out of state for almost 25 years, so there's a lot that I missed. The last time I talked to her was a FaceTime, and she'd come over and she'd be like, "Who you talking to, Emmy?" I'd be like, "Darlene." She'd be like, "It's not Lainey. She's got blonde hair." She'd walk away, and 10 minutes later, she'd come back. "Who you talking to, Emmy?" "That's not Lainey. She's got blonde hair." But she was sweet every time, I don't think there was an angry bone in her body, unless you put something back wrong in the fridge, and then. I'm so thankful to see so many people out here. A lot of them, it took me a minute to recognize a lot of you I don't know. But she never met a stranger. I think she'd be really surprised. She'd be surprised, but she wouldn't be surprised at how many people are here. But it wouldn't have mattered. She's the kind of person that wouldn't have mattered if one person or 10,000 people showed up. She would have probably talked to every single one of you, thanked you, and then invited you to come over. So she will be missed greatly. Nobody could cut hair like her. I remember when I had to find a new beautician, I think I've been living in North Carolina for about 6 years. And I was like, well, I need a haircut. I can't keep flying home for haircuts. So I've yet to find one as good as her though. She had a magical touch with it, as she did with everything. She could fix anybody's problem in anybody's life. It was her it was her own problems that she couldn't get. She raised 3 wonderful daughters, helped with 3 wonderful grandsons, and I don't know if you boys know that she loved you guys, because she always wanted boys. And I'm really surprised she didn't talk Emily into naming y'all what she had originally named Sage and I. Andrew and. It wasn't,
Oh, no.
no, it was Andrew and, because I
I was gonna be Andrew.
you were gonna be Andrew. Yeah, she was hoping for boys. The first 2 days that we were alive, Sage and I, we were baby A and baby B, because she was so hopeful to have boys, she only picked out boys' names. She didn't know that years later it would be popular to name your children, your girls' boys' names. We could.
How about your son?
Oh,
What's your son? What's his name?
his name's Kevin. We were gonna it was supposed to be after his dad and my dad, but we waited till we had him to find out that what the sex was gonna be, so I give birth, he's like crying, so can we please name it Kevin? And I was like, no, for it.
Kevin Junior.
Kevin Junior, yeah, it was supposed to be Kevin Junior if it was a girl. I was gonna-
That's that would be cute. That would be really cute.
And thank you, Emily, for putting this whole thing together.
Yes.
These pictures are for all of you to take. You can take whichever picture you're feeling led towards. We've got so much shit up at her house. If anybody wants to donate to dump runs, that's awesome. But please take a picture. We don't need them. She loved you. You loved her. Does anybody else want to say anything before we wrap up, making all of us listen to each other? Does anybody else want to say anything quickly? Or even Jeff wants to say something, Dee wants to say something? Look, we got people.
They even made me raise my hand, so.
Okay, okay. This is Jeff. This is Jeff. He's my neighbor. I've been blessed to be his nanny for a year and a half with little Ava. Our little Ava right there. All right, Jeff.
Alright, so I bought my house, right next to Susan's house, 2017. I mean, I'm a sheet metal worker. So just trying to afford, trying to buy a house with a baby in tow, like she wasn't born yet. So,
And you moved next door to Susan?
moved next door to, yes.
Oh, Lord.
So
How
I
was
mean,
that?
Susan, right off the bat, like, just awesome, it's kind of, like I got, so I got 2 years or 3 years, really, almost of her with her memory,
Yes.
and then obviously saw the deterioration, but that's how my grandpa had dementia. I understand how dementia works. It's just sad. It really is. When it's one thing if it's any other part, but when it's your brain, it's just, I don't know. But she's witnessed every moment of Ava's life. And even made a path like that used to be a path,
Yes.
right? And so created a path back to her house and then, just seeing her every day, really,
Yeah.
crossing the path.
Stealing bears.
Well, I was
No
not.
stealing beers.
Well, there was one time.
She would-
I did get home and there was like, she's passed out on the couch, there's like 15 beers just like all over. I'm like,
Yeah.
Susan, what did? And she's like, I didn't touch any of it. I'm like, well, nobody else here, so, all right, sure.
Gotta be beer for me?
Yeah, like, okay, I guess I'm going on a beer run, all right. But no, she just, I just cherish her smile. I cherish, just her calmness about everything, you know, like I'd be having, I mean, I've had my own past stuff, but, she was there for me. And she calmed me down, you know, when I was going through my divorce and stuff, so. I miss her, you know, and I know that she's in a good spot. She's always said, you know, she's told me since I've known her, she's like, oh, I'm ready to go. So, you know, like now the world is, you know, one amazing person shorter. But we all know when we get to that point where when we end up there, well, we got a good one. So thank you.
Jeff and I have plenty of good stories about Susan. Anybody needs a story about Susan? It was a long 3 years. It was a long 3 years.
Yeah.
Like, was that your beer, my beer, her beer? Where's the beer? There's always beer.
Is there any beer left?
No.
My name's Dee and I knew Susan for about 35 years. We had lots of laughs and a few tears, and she was the most generous, sweetest lady I knew. She took care of my animals when we'd go out of town and cut my hair. I'll never forget one time, she was cutting my hair and I said, would you cut some of the gray off? And she said, honey, that ain't gray hair, it's white. So thank you for that. Anyway, I saw her the last day she was alive and I was able to tell her I loved her. And in a way, not in a way, I'm glad that she's where she is, where she's doesn't have any pain anymore, and we'll miss her, but it's good that she is where she is. Thank you.
Hi, guys, I'm Sage. I'm baby B. And I just want to say thank you guys all so much for coming. Knowing Susan, whenever I would call her for Mother's Day or her birthday, she'd be like, no, I don't care about that. And I think she would feel similar about this, about having people come together for her. Wow, why would you? We don't need to. But I think that she would have been so heartwarmed to see all of you. I'm incredibly overwhelmed and heartwarmed to see all of you. A lot of familiar faces, some more familiar names than faces, because we're all getting older. But thank you all so much for coming. I think we've shared some really wonderful memories of Susan, things that I have forgotten and reminded of, and just it's so nice to see so many people who loved her. And for me, you know, it was really great. She used to say, I want to raise independent children that people like. And she was successful at that. So she did really well. She definitely she definitely left a mark on this world and has made it a better place. And so does anybody else want to say anything? Okay.
Anybody else? Okay, we got room for 2 or 3 more people and then we gotta stop.
I think so. Did anybody on Zoom want to go? No, you guys.
We don't know.
All right, but yes, thank you all so much. It's been so wonderful to see you guys. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Melanie. I'm Dorian's wife. The first time I met Susan, and I always heard her name as Sue because he went to high school with her and she was Sue Somps then, was in 1985 at the 20th reunion of the AWALT class of 65. I was pregnant with our son Eric. And several years later, I attended St. Timothy's Episcopal Church in Mountain View for 10 years. And every year we had a women's retreat almost every time at Mount Herman's Redwood Christian Park. So I'm there for the retreat and I walk in at the mealtime and I go to get my food and there behind the counter cooking is
Oh,
Sue.
it's automatically recording.
I was like, oh my gosh, what are you doing here? She goes, I work here. So we chatted a little bit and we made arrangements for when the retreat ended. It was like noon on a Sunday. So I followed her to her home and she did the same thing, but I can't park on that driveway like this, you know, take the car down, park at the bottom and walk up. And we sat there and talked until almost, well, past sunset, 7:30 at night, where Dorian was calling, are you ever coming home? No, I think I'll just stay here and talk to Susan. So then, I don't remember when, the very first party that we went to was at Fred's house. There was a big gathering and live music and a great place to go. And we started having them at Eric, Val, and Jay's house. And every year I would see Susan at this party. So we got to hang out and listen to music. They usually had 2 or 3 live bands. And that's how I got to know her better. And what I wrote in the book back there is that she was a bright, shining star in a dark world. And that even though we will miss her, that every time we think of her, it will bring a smile to our face. Because she was an exceptional human being. And I love her. And I love when we were talking that day at her house, she told me how she didn't meet a man. And then in fact, she was married to Jesus. So I'm glad that she is with her Prince of Peace.
We have heard them all the time.
So,
Yeah.
yes.
Yes.
So we miss you, Susan. We love you, but we're happy you're home.
Yeah. One more. Or no. Okay. Ashton.
I think I'd like to say a couple things about Susan. I mean, I just like to call her Baba.
Bob.
That's how I knew her through Wyatt, you know, and
Ashton. High school friend.
no matter who you were, Baba was always super nice to you. She always cheered you up, always knew how to start a conversation with you, no matter who you were. I also remember her just being super humble. She would always tell me all the crazy stories of things she's done. And I would always say, oh, no way, that's freaking crazy. And she'd be like, no, it's not a big deal. It's not a big deal. That's just my life. And I would just be like, well, how could you? And she'd be like, no, it's not a big deal. And I'll be like, okay. But I remember one of the last times I saw her, I think it was Wyatt showing me a picture of her at the bar over there after closing time. And then Baba walks in and she's all like, who's that? And Wyatt's like, Baba, that's you. And then she's like, oh, yeah, I remember that. But no matter who you were, she was always super nice to you. And when I met her during high school, in my high school years, I think meeting her and hanging out with her and just all the crazy stories she's told me has been probably the best times of my teenage years.
One more.
Okay, so I didn't know.
Lindsay. My girl. I love you.
I'm tired.
I know, you love mama. She loves mom. Loves you.
Oh, I didn't know her for very long. I wish I'd known her before she got dementia. But I just remember just like sitting out on your guys' patio. I thought like, you weren't there, but some of the boys were there. And I mean, you guys had to get so annoyed with how long our conversation was going on. She introduced herself to me at least 5 times. It was like every other 15 minutes, she was like, so how do I know you? I was like, no. I said, where are you from? I'm like, from Nebraska. And then you knew this conversation would start over and she'd go, oh, from Nebraska. I've never been there. I just loved every time that I got a little bit of information about her. And I could just tell how much she loved everyone. Just in her voice, she had the most sweetest voice ever. And I'm glad that you guys kind of started talking about her dementia. and a little bit about her drinking. I just wanted to tell this little story, and I just thought it was kind of the cutest story. We were Devin, your friend Devin. He said he was watching her one day, and he was out working in the garden, and he was like, "Where the hell are my beers going? Where the hell are my beers going?" And she's just sitting there in one spot, just crouched over, just picking out some weeds. And he every time he go inside, she just like he'd be like, "Where the hell's my beer?" And then and then he thought like, you know, she's been working on that same patch of weed for about a half an hour. And he was like, "Hey, Mama, will you come over here for a minute?" She's like, "Sure." He said, she got up and she was sitting on all those beers like a mother hen. I just thought that was adorable. She was just an amazing woman. I love catching every little glimpse of what life that she had before, even if it was just for a minute. But every time she tell her story, I get a little bit of glimpse of what kind of woman she was. And I spent some time living in her house. She put me up in her house when I didn't have anywhere to go. But she raised some really amazing children. I got to meet all you sisters today, you know, and I'm so happy to know her grandchildren, and I'm just so happy, you know. I think she did right. You know, anybody else, you know, if you don't think so, you know, I don't care. You know, like we're all trying our best here, you know, but she raised some goddamn good people. So.
Okay, I love you. That's what Susan would tell you. She loves you. I'm very thankful. I'm thankful. Thank you. Okay.